Yep, I'm good. You turn me just a little bit.
I'm sorry?
Turn me up just a little. I think we're good right there.
All right. It's time for the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. Blake Sloan, one of the top real estate agents not only on the Grand Strand, but in the world. He's been featured in Forbes magazine, the Wall Street Journal, NBC, and many other publications. And now, the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. We'll be talking with Blake Sloan in mere seconds. Hang on for that. But over the next 30 minutes, you're going to hear so much great information. You're going to want to get in touch with Blake Sloan. That's really easy to do. Let me give you some contact information. Phone number at Sloan Realty Group is 843-808-SOLD, 843-808-SOLD, or you can go online to blakesloan.com, blakesloan.com. We'll repeat that contact info a lot over the next 30 minutes. If you didn't get it this time, get it next time. Right now, it's time to get it. As far as the show is concerned, here's Blake Sloan.
Yes, let's get it. I like it. Brand new show, tons of great stuff. Some very interesting data this last week and really 2 weeks. One we'll talk about today. Some very interesting data regards to new properties under contract here locally on the Grand Strand. We've seen a decline pretty significantly, about 100 properties a week. We were averaging 600 to 700 the past 2 weeks. Now it's down to the mid fives this week. So we'll talk about that, what's going on, kind of what may be driving that, but something to watch out for sure. Not as crazy as the week I had last week in real estate, but things are still pumping like crazy. Just put an offer. Just put a property active last night. We already got 12 offers on it, and it's still climbing right now. So there is still a lot of demand, which is good, but we don't know how long that's going to be sustained. We talked last week. If I have time today, we'll get that in, because last week we ran out of time. A crazy week in real estate where we found a grenade in the house, found a human skull in the house.
Yeah.
We rescued a African something parrot from a house who is now living with Duncan, our photographer, which is pretty cool. And then we had something else crazy too. Someone got married in our lobby of our office, which happened to be, I found this out later, our second wedding of the year in our lobby. It's like crazy. So it's been a wild year already, and our team is still rocking and rolling, going with that. So we'll talk about that today. Also some really good stuff some of y'all may have talked about in your show this week. Myrtle Beach named one of the top 10 most affordable beach towns in the United States, which is awesome. We came in very high on that list, which was really cool. Then also another national news showed that Myrtle Beach was in the top destinations searched in any area of the United States last month online, for which is really cool. We were ahead of like Miami and New York, and so we'll talk about that. Very, very cool in that aspect. Also, the four main problems people are facing right now who want to sell their house. We had that in last week's docket, so to speak, just did not have a chance to get to that. We're seeing this a lot of stuff. The pace of the market is still very, very fast. It's still chaotic. We're still seeing a lot of mistakes being made right now on both sides of the ball, so to speak. We're seeing a lot of people who are misrepresenting sellers in their quest to sell their house. And we're seeing a lot of people just leave it and leave a lot of money on the table to the tune of $20,000 to $40,000 to $50,000. I'm still seeing that at least one day a week, every week, in someone that we're working with across the aisle, right? On the flip side, seeing a lot of people who are, working with agents who just aren't really experienced, and it's hurting them because the market is so fast-paced right now. You have to have the right strategy, the right team behind you, and really the right ability to get your offers accepted. We kind of designed an entire program and shared with our team the past couple of weeks about how do we help get offers accepted? How do we craft them in a way that they do get accepted when you're going against 10, 12, and 15 other offers as well. We have some amazing, amazing success stories. We also have a couple of horror stories, and we'll talk about those on today's show as well.
If you're just tuning in for the very first time and you're not sure who you're listening to or what you're listening to, it's the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show, hosted by, of course, Blake Sloan. Blake Sloan has been called the real estate whiz kid. He's been featured in Forbes magazine, Wall Street Journal, Realtor magazine, and other national publications. You may be seeing him on TV with NBC and also with Fox and Friends, with Morning Show. You've heard the personal endorsements here by Sean Hannity, also Barbara Corcoran, Gary LeVox. Put them all together, it's just totally unprecedented. Now, that's one thing, but the other thing is that Blake has trademark systems for both home sellers and home buyers. They are trademarked, so we can't give you all the details, but more than happy every week to tell you the most important part of that system.
Yes, due to so many horror stories, I made a promise to myself that, hey, we will cover this in the show. And it's a big aha I had for somebody, like we mentioned it here and there, and we had a couple people who came to us who were listeners of the show, who somehow, I don't know how, we went with somebody else first, and they did not work out, and they had a bad horror story. I'm like, man, why the heck do you listen to the show and you went to somebody else first? And so I said, you know what, we're making a decision. We're going to talk about this every week because it's that important. Because I tell you, it doesn't matter how affluent they are. It doesn't matter if it's a first-time buyer or a 20-time buyer or a 20-time seller. They make this same mistake over and over and over again. Here's the mistake they make. They make the mistake of thinking that all real estate agents are the same. It could not be further from the truth. Just like any doctor, any lawyer, right? If you're charged with a crime you did not commit, you don't want some part-time attorney who maybe has done 1 or 2 cases in the past year, right? You want the absolute best, most aggressive attorney who specializes in that type of law. And so why would you allow yourself to accept anything less than the absolute best when it's dealing with your largest asset, not your friend's cousin who just got in real estate 2 weeks ago, who's still bartending and working at Applebee's part-time, right? You cannot do that. And so the reason is, in selling a house, there's 118 different variables from A to Z. If each one's handled correctly, guess what it does? It puts money in your pocket and the property gets sold. If anything's handled incorrectly, aka they drop the ball at any point, you got to remember, you have one person most of the time that's trying to manage all these 118 variables just on your property, not to mention the other listings they have. And so what most agents do is really the 3 Ps. They promise the world to get listing. They tell you whatever you want to hear. Then they put it into the MLS. And 3, they pray that someone else brings a buyer. Meanwhile, they're down the street trying to get your neighbor's listing just so they can pay their rent or mortgage next month and survive in the business. And that does not work very well. But here's the thing. In today's market, you can probably get the house sold. You still probably get it sold, but that does not mean that you're going to get all of your hard-earned equity and you're not leaving $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 on the table. And so those details could be anything from right now, the day of the week it's listed, the quality of the photos, the specific order of the photos. We mentioned last week, just had a very, very high-end home I saw somebody list. The first 9 pictures were all the exterior of the house. The problem with that is no buyer's going to go through 9 pictures to get to the inside picture, which they actually care about, which is the largest rooms of the house. But most agents don't sell enough homes to understand the buyer psychology on how they have to craft the process. And so what we did was we identified every single variable. One of those, again, is agents answering the phone. A lot of times, if you have a single agent who's super busy and a buyer drives by your house, sees a for sale sign and calls that phone number, as we both know, they don't answer the phone very much. And so those buyers, if they want to, can't even buy your house. And so we see this over and over and over. And so what I did is we crafted a system that's proven repeatable, that creates maximum leverage at every single one of those points, right? All 118, and it creates a massive gap at the end. We call it stacking the dominoes. So point 1, we create a gap. Point 2, we create a gap, and you stack all those up. Creates a massive gap, and really for you, a competitive advantage against anyone else. The system's called the Guaranteed Sold System. The only proven system sells twice as fast and for up to 20% more money than traditional methods, and it works very, very, very well. The best analogy is it's like everyone who takes off at a marathon. You have a shotgun start, everyone starts running, everything looks the same, everyone's in a group. But what happens very soon is all of a sudden everyone starts to spread out, and at the end, people finish 2 and 3 hours ahead of other people, and some don't finish at all. It's the same exact thing that we do with the marathon of your home sale, is we make sure it gets done right and gets sold right. And I guess, right now, this is one of the questions. I'm kind of do a quick side thing right here because it's important. I just shared this last week, I think, with my team. But the one question I'm getting right now is, the market's hot. Anybody can sell your house right now, which is true, right? Anybody can sell a house. You can sell it yourself. You don't even need me or anybody else. But here's the thing. There's a difference between selling it and selling it right. And so I gave the best analogy I could, really. And this is really just something I really see a lot of. Is like anybody that's a car person, right? If you have like nice cars and certain things, one of the most beautiful cars everyone likes is a classic Corvette, right? Take amazing mint condition classic Corvette. You can take that classic Corvette and put it right here in the Walmart parking lot on 501. Guess what? You can sell that baby. But the difference is, are you getting top dollar for that classic Corvette? Because if you take the same classic Corvette and put it every Corvette enthusiast website in the entire world, every Corvette enthusiast group online, right? Every Corvette enthusiast magazine, guess what you do now? You put more exposure on that Corvette, more eyeballs on that Corvette, which drives up interest, which in turn finds a buyer who will pay a premium for that Corvette. And the problem with today's market is what most agents do is they take your house and they put your house in the Walmart parking lot. And you sell it and you're happy as anything, but you don't realize that your house was just put in the Walmart parking lot and it sold, but it did not sell for the most amount of money. And so those are the stakes we're talking about right now, what everyone's kind of seeing. And so that's why it's so important for you to make sure you really dig in, do the research, and have someone who has a system and process in place. And like I mentioned, for us, it's that guaranteed sold system. And so very, very passionate about that because I watch people literally every single day of the week lose hard-earned equity. On the flip side of that equation, guess what? It's very difficult for buyers right now. So we create a system that's proven repeatable for buyers to help them. It's called the Unfair Advantage Home Buying System. It gets you priority access to the absolute best deals: foreclosure, distress sales, desperate sellers, regular listings the very minute it's listed. So if it comes on the market at 12 o'clock at night, it's in your email that very next second, so you can beat other buyers to the best deals. We also help you, right, with a system, help you through negotiation, a purchase price, a home inspection to get to the closing table successfully. But both of those were designed to do one thing: put a system and process in place to give you a competitive advantage in the marketplace. And that's what you need right now when you're dealing in such a crazy, fast-paced market. You need that representation. Really, you need a system behind you that can give you that advantage.
All right. Tell you what, we're just getting started. You just heard a little bit about what's going on. Coming up in a second, some of the meat of the program. We'll find out what's going on as far as the real estate market is concerned right here, right now. Plus, we'll take a look at the mortgage rates as well to find out what the numbers are looking like. If you're losing money, if you're going to be able to make money. That's all coming up in just a second. Get in touch with Blake Sloan at Sloan Realty Group. Sloan Realty Group. The phone number is 843-808-SOLD, 843-808-SOLD, or go online to blakesloan.com. blakesloan.com.
Hey, if you are in the market to make the most money for your home, Sean Hannity here with some important advice. Now, look, I'm an active investor. I have bought and sold a lot of properties in hot, cold, moderate markets. And one of the lessons I have learned is this: hire the agent that knows how to create the most demand for your home. Now, if I needed to create demand in this market, no question, there's only one real estate agent I trust if I needed to sell my home. I'm talking about Blake Sloan of Sloan Realty Group. Now, he services the entire Myrtle Beach area, attracts hundreds of buyers every week, and sells a home on average every 24 hours. Now, that helps you generate multiple offers and sell your home for the most money possible. Plus, it's like getting an immediate offer on your home, because if your home doesn't sell for the price and the deadline you agree to, you will have it bought for cash, and he offers flexible fees. Find out how much demand your home can command right now. Call the agent that creates the most demand. Call Blake Sloan today at 808-SOLD. That's 808-SOLD. Or online at blakesloan.com. That's blakesloan.com.
Hi, I'm Barbara Corcoran. To sell your home on time for the most money, you need a sharp agent with a marketing strategy that creates the most demand. Bottom line, you need a partner willing to put their own money on the line for you. In Myrtle Beach, I would hire Blake Sloan. His international marketing creates so much demand that if your home doesn't sell at a price and deadline you agreed to, Blake will buy it. Partner with the agent I trust. Go online or call and get your home sold.
Coming up in just a second, we'll see what the mortgage rates are looking like. Right now, it's time to find out to see what the real estate market is looking like. I mean, we know it's been crazy hot still.
Yes, so it's smoking hot technically, right? It's still hot, man. It's crazy. Our team is burning the candle at both ends every single day, all weekend, and we love it. But on the flip side, I'm super, I mentioned this a million times in the show over the years. I'm a big nerd for numbers. And so we're always trying to analyze, like, what's happening in real time, what's happening, behind us. And so most of the data that we get, we talked about, like last week's show, we gave the micro market, which is like all the zip codes. We really look at the macro market every week, which is what's closed, right? So what closed last month, you got to do the math and think about that. It usually takes 30 to 60 days to close a deal, right? It goes under contract. You have a home inspections, appraisals, financing, all that stuff. And so if you look at last month's numbers, those really went under contract, 60 days before that. So those numbers look very, very good. There is a little few patterns where one of the coolest things we did is, I just kind of made this up when we did during the quarantine lockdown. There was like no sales. So I was like tracking each week how many new properties were going under contract every 7 days. And we talk about that in the show and in my office. And it helped us really figure out like what the heck's going on. And so it was averaging like 600, sometimes, 700 a week. And then all of a sudden the lockdown happened. We were 300, 350 a week in the entire MLS. That means 350 properties going under contract. That was when people couldn't stay in hotels. It bumped up last year to 600, then 700. Then we had a bunch of peak months at 800s. The peak of this year, we saw a few months right at the high 800s every week, which means every 7 days, about 890, 880 properties go under contract. The last 3 and 4 weeks, we've seen that decline. And so last week's show, we were the mid 600s. And so that's something we started watching. Well, this entire past 7 days, we go through this every morning in my, we call it company. It's a huddle. Every morning, 9 a.m., we have a huddle. Everybody does their goal for the day, give a positive, all this stuff. But we noticed that the weekly sales were in the mid 500s, which I have never seen that since the lockdown, which is interesting. And so what that meant was only about 550 properties per week were going under contract, when less than a month ago, it was 700 plus. And so I started to get a little bit worried at 650, but definitely when it got to 550, I'm like, what the heck is going on here? And so there's two reasons for this. Number one has to do with inventory, right? Also some seasonality. And I mentioned a few weeks ago, just some of the places up north, people were flocking down here like crazy because they were in massive pain. They had lockdowns, they had the mask issues, they were angry. And guess what happens as that pain goes away sometimes, right? Where all of a sudden you can go out to eat, you can go outside, you can do things, there's no mask. A lot of times some of them are kind of backing off that a little bit. So last 7 days, as of this morning, it was right at 604, which is kind of good. It was over 600 this morning, 604, but all this past week was in the mid to upper fives. I mean, 550 properties per 7 days. So that was a little bit shocking, and that's going to affect, future close sales. So for example, it'll affect July and August. So keep our eye on that for sure. That's just something to kind of think about. What also could drive that, we saw a huge jump in interest rates initially there because of some reports of inflation, some of the biggest inflation we've seen on record based on different reports you're seeing. So that also jumped rates up, which has an effect on those. So keep watching that. Here's the other key number. We've been watching inventory for the past 3 months now, which is what's causing some of these sales to decline because there's just less homes. But we've been averaging per week about 360 to 385 single family resale homes in Horry County, which is not a lot at all, right? Looking at the population, that's not including, new construction or mobile homes, but about 350, 380. As of today, right now, single family resale homes on the market, 449. So significant jump there. We did the math this morning, almost a 16% increase in the past couple of weeks, which is good news because that's obviously helpful, but it does show a little bit of softening potential in the future, right? Obviously, I'm a little hypersensitive to these numbers because I'm always trying to help understand them so we can help give our clients the best advice so they can take a little more chance or do certain things. But what does that mean? A little more competition, a little less buyers. You may want to think about, definitely if you're thinking about selling this year, I would not advise waiting to the third and fourth quarter for sure. Because wow, we know Myrtle Beach is a seasonal market. Guess what? Everyone's coming down here on vacation right now. They've all been stalking properties for months and months and months. I wouldn't wait till third and fourth quarter, for sure, in that aspect, or late third quarter, so to speak. So like fall, winter, I think you may see a little bit slower numbers here just based on what we've seen, where a lot of people are moving earlier whenever they're seeing, the pain from up north. So really quick recap numbers last month, which is great. Sales showing an 82% increase from the same month last year. Again, that's not truly accurate because last year, May was the worst month of the year. And that was coming off a lockdown for basically 2 months where people couldn't come stay in hotels. So the interesting thing, 680 homes closed in the month of May, resale homes, right? Which is good. But the one thing to look at, it actually was a decline from April and March. So March had 768 homes. April had 771 homes. It declined down to 680 in May of this year. So that's one thing to watch about too, which is interesting to see. So you're definitely seeing some signs a little bit loosening up. Part of that could be a little bit what we call buyer fatigue too, where prices have gone up so drastically. People have been searching. They're just getting priced out in some cases. Right now, median price is up 27.8% from last year, which is great at $290,000. It did drop also from April. So in April it's $299,700. Into May it's $290,000, which is interesting. Average sale price is still through the roof. It's still climbing. It's the highest in history. I just did a news interview yesterday. You guys may have seen it for WPDE 13, just talking about the market, what's happening, and we hit a highest number we've seen ever in regards to average sale price here right now, $388,277, which is awesome news. If you just go back to January of 2019, it was $253,000. So massive jump there, which means homeowners have a lot more equity. I think they do, up 30.7%. Now, here's the one thing that's driving all this. Has to do with inventory. Right now, we're in an inventory crisis. The lowest has been on record. It's been scraping where the past couple weeks, it was at 0.8 and 0.9 months of inventory. Right now, we're at 1.0 months, which is a 76 76.2% decrease. And so what that really means is there's 76.2% less homes available than there was the same time last year, which is what will also affect the amount of homes sold. So I want to watch that and see what happens. That also, again, a healthy market is anything 6 months. On average, anything less than 6 months means the seller has an advantage. They definitely have an advantage. It is what we call right now a super seller's market. But as that inventory creeps back up, right, you have less leverage. Definitely want to think about that as well. And the third piece that we saw decline last month, which is interesting, is buyer traffic, showings per listing. And last month it was 10.6 showings per listing, which is an 86% increase from last year. I don't put much weight in that because that's when people are scared to go to Food Line for dinner, right, for food. So 11.2 was in April, so it dropped from 11.2 to 10.6. So those three numbers are interesting to see. Overall, I like to predict and kind of see what's happening from a real-time status. So we'll keep watching that. It's nothing that's that alarming, but at the same time, if I'm looking to kind of cash out when it's scraping the top, I definitely like to look at those numbers. When you start seeing sales loosen up and those three numbers kind of line up a little bit, I want to make sure I'm taking advantage at the top. Into condos, huge jump in condos, 833 condo sales last month, up 174% from the same month last year. I don't count that because, again, people couldn't even go into the condo building last year during that time beforehand. So prices up 22.3% for median price for condos, which is awesome, at $162,500. Average sale price up 28.4% at $197,469. Supply also down massively, down 78.6%. So we're seeing this kind of fluctuation. The good news, though, this week, and probably one of the best ones, is rates are back down, which is awesome because last week's show, it jumped up. So 2 weeks ago, it was 3.08%. Sweet, great numbers, right? It jumped all the way up to 3.25%. So almost a quarter, of an entire percent there. It jumped up. And then this week, thank goodness, is back down to 3.20%. So that gives a little more fuel to the fire. That's something we'll continue watching. Everyone's kind of predicting that obviously you're going to see rates rise into the third and fourth quarter, especially a lot of inflation concerns. So make sure if you're on the fence and you're a buyer, thinking about refinancing, also jumping in or moving laterally, usually the interest rate's one of the most mismanaged variables because they don't focus on that, but it can hurt your buying power. For sellers out there, a higher interest rate means less buyers for your home. And so take advantage right now while it's still hot, while there's gasoline still in the fire, and we'll keep you updated on those numbers for sure.
All right. Well, we still got a lot of show to get to in just a second. We'll look at the hot buyers alert, and also we'll look at some great success stories. Hopefully you'll be a success story and not a horror story. You can ensure that by getting in touch with Blake Sloan. Give him a call today at Sloan Realty Group. Phone number is 843-808-SOLD, 843-808-SOLD, or go online to blakesloan.com, blakesloan.com.
Hey, Myrtle Beach, it's Gary LaVox, lead singer of Rascal Flatts. When I'm Moving On won the award for ACM Song of the Year, it struck me.
How are you doing? We running a little long? Okay.
For many, that happens when it comes time to sell their home. If you're moving on, you want a real estate agent who will make selling your home easy and stress-free. An agent who's willing to let you out of the contract if you're not happy with their service. That's why in Myrtle Beach, I can tell you that Blake Sloan of Sloan Realty Group markets your home on a whole different level. Now listen, Blake is so confident in his ability to sell your home quickly and for more money that he guarantees to sell it or he'll buy it himself. If you're moving on, trust Blake to provide your family a stress-free home sale experience. Find Blake Sloan online at blakesloan.com, or you can call him at 843-808-SOLD. Start tracking.
It is the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. Got some great success stories coming up in a second. But first, it's time for your hot buyers alert. As you've heard, Blake and his team working with just a huge amount of home buyers, and they're all looking for homes. What's the problem? Inventory. So if you've got a home in the Myrtle Beach area or anywhere between $150,000 to $3.5 billion, if you're even thinking of selling, give Blake a call today so he can talk to you. Phone number is 843-808-SOLD, 808-SOLD. How many people are out there? Well, on Blake's website, people with usernames, passwords that are very, very, very active, over 62,000. Actually, the last number I saw, 62,237. That's a lot of people looking for homes in the area.
Yes, and like Dave mentioned, these are separate people, username, password account, 62,237. So I have this huge problem, right? So and I'll never forget, man, right when they had the lockdown, I was in the same seat actually, and everything was shut down. I made a declaration on this very radio station. I said, you know what? I'm doubling down on marketing. I'm not pulling my foot off the pedal. While everyone else is cutting everything, I'm doubling down. And we did. We increased our massive spend online. You guys seen the billboards everywhere. You know, a lot of stuff we did. Well, the one thing I didn't realize or think about is there'd be no homes for sale, right? That was kind of we didn't realize that inventory would drop 80%. So the good news is for you is we've been outspending the average agent 100 to 1, not just every day, but through the entire pandemic and the corona crisis, while everyone else was cutting advertising, not having buyers. And so I get the question all the time, why should we call you versus anyone else? And the reason is I'm spending massive amounts of money to generate buyers for your house before you ever pick up the phone to call me. And why is that? Well, the business model we have gives us a huge competitive advantage because we're going to sell them something either way. And we have a global reach. We have 20 plus buyer experts on our team. They work with buyers from all over the country and the world. Right now, we got Mark on the site from Brooklyn, New York, been here 49 visits. We got Antoine Smith from Sarasota, Florida. I got Michael from Conway, Anna from Johnsonville, Gene from Marion. I got George from Matthews, North Carolina. I got Crystal from Ottawa, Ontario. I got Todd from Chicago, Illinois. And so the reality is we have people from all over that are looking to buy here. And so what our advantage is we can match up these buyers to the house within minutes. We have a software that reverse engineers the most likely buyer for your home based on their previous search history. And so not only are we outspending the average agent 100 to 1, we have a full sales team of experts and software that matches them up to your property. And so how do we do that? We get multiple offers in your property. We drive the value up. We create a virtual auction effect, which puts another $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 into your pocket. And again, that's a kid's college fund right there. This is not something to just kind of, ignore. This is massive amounts of money that can change lives of people in your family as well as yourself. And you owe it to yourself to get that most amount of money. So 2 minutes left. All right. So amazing success stories really quick that we want to just talk about. Our team's been crushing it. Mr. Wallace, his name is Blake Wallace, actually. Cool name because he came to us, sell his home so he could relocate. He was concerned, though, he may not be able to get enough for his home because he bought it in 2020. Thankfully, he's a past client, knew exactly to come to, came to us. We came in, showed him how we get $40,000 more dollars in his pocket than he even thought he could get based on everything. We came in, launched our global marketing blitz, professional photos, virtual reality walkthrough, drove massive traffic, had multiple offers, driving their price up, putting maximum dollar in his pocket, which is super cool. They're also, Bob and Connie owned a home, Myrtle Beach, decided they wanted to find a house that had a pool. Bob's concern was finding a home because the market's so hot, but also the timing of selling their current home. That's the catch-22. So with us, we actually knew of a home that matched exactly what they were looking for. We got them in the very second it's listed, got that under contract. Then we launched the global marketing blitz on their home, drove massive traffic, got top dollar. And here's the cool part. We negotiated an extended closing date to get them the exact closing date they wanted to so that they could close on the pool house in their previous house the same exact day and not have to rent something else or pay 2 mortgages. And that's something that we've mastered in this market, and our team helps us do that. And we have the leverage. We're not going to generate a lot more buyers for your house, add more leverage to push back and get the closing date that you need, which is super, super important. So out of time almost? Or? So we have a bunch more different ones. Just one thing that's important is just don't be a horror story. I'm seeing even a lot of affluent people right now post homes without the right photos, without drone photography, without the right views. Just do not waste the extra opportunity right now to put $20,000, $30,000, $40,000. If your friend, relative, and uncle have them, call us for sure.
Absolutely. Call today. The phone number is 843-808-SOLD, 843-808-SOLD. If you'd like to get in touch with Blake at Sloan Realty Group, or if you're just looking it up, it's Sloan Realty Group. Make sure you get it right. Next week, we'll be back with another edition slate. Blake, you going to be here?
Yes, sir. I'll be here.
All right. Blake Sloan, the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show. We'll see you again next week.
Selling your home doesn't have to be filled with drama or having to pay hidden fees. And your friend Sean Hannon here to tell you, as an active investor, I firmly believe in working with
any questions you got online?
Agents who sell homes in high volume, prepare your home to create the most demand when it does go on the market to sell for the highest price. And don't fill your life with drama while you wait for your home to sell. When I want to know what's happening, there's only one agent I call. I'm talking about Blake Sloan of Sloan Realty Group. Now, every single day on average, he sells multiple homes and attracts new homes, which gets you early access to great homes before they hit the market. Now, he has so many buyers, he allows you to establish a deadline and a price acceptable to you. So if that deadline passes and your home is not sold, he will buy your home. Now they're even give you the freedom to get out of your contract, but the fact is that's not going to happen. Don't don't believe the myth that all agents market the same way. So contact the agent I personally trust. Call Blake Sloan today at 808-SOLD or online at blakesloan.com. That's Blake Sloan.